ready for group chat sports. And we talk group chat sports. We bring in the man himself, the Fink. How we doing?
I was doing well until about 20 minutes ago when I received the alert as I was driving back from my first class. I think Michael Alford, who I'm a Florida State's athletic director, for those unfamiliar, just released a statement that they're committed to supporting Coach Norvell throughout the 2025 season and will complete a comprehensive assessment of his job status at the end of the season. I'm a big Michael Alford guy. I understand the anger with the fan base that he extended Mike after the 23 season when Alabama was interested. What are you supposed to do at that time? That's all you could do at that time. And I think that he couldn't have predicted this fall off, but by not making the move now, I mean, what are we doing? This is not a serious football approach if you are not making a change after these 4 straight losses, after what's happened over the last 2 seasons. I mean, this is just incredibly unserious. And I thought all of the talk about Alford needing to be fired was kind of ridiculous, but I think this is a fireable offense, to be honest. And I don't want to call for his job, but like, man, I guess I am.
Clay, the initial reaction from fans in the comments when we were just talking about it on Kane's Insight a little while ago was this has to be a sign that they don't have the money to make the firing right now. I also speculated, with the portal stuff, I don't know how much of it is, are they trying to keep the roster together, even though I don't know if that's a counterintuitive thing at this point. So where do you stand on like the financials of it? What have you heard? I mean, do you think that could be one of the things at play here?
Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing. But ultimately, it's not that they don't have the money. It's that they are not willing to allocate the money towards it at this time because they have limited resources. And that's not serious. They've committed money in so many other places around this university and around their campus. Yeah, they're opening up brand new football only facility today, and I can guarantee you who's going to be the first coach to step foot in there. And it's not who I would have expected if you asked me yesterday, because I thought he would probably be gone by the time they walked into that facility. But apparently that's not the case. And I think also the portal thing is a good point. But yeah, I mean, maybe it might not even matter,
I also said maybe they don't have their guy kind of lined up behind the scenes yet. Yeah. I think Florida has probably been working. If we saw Florida make their move yesterday officially, but Florida, I know, has been working diligently behind the scenes. So part of it is, hey, we might have. We do have the money to get rid of him right here, right now, but who are we going to pay? Do we have the money to go get the guy that we think could change things here? So I think all of this is factored in. I mean, but Clay, I mean, I think you've voiced it early on here in the show, but what's the vibe of Florida State's fan base right now?
I mean, it might be worse than last year, I think, just because last year there was a bit more of an understanding. You're coming fresh off of that contract extension. No context needed. I think people know what I'm talking
Clay,
about.
This was sent to me by a friend of mine. I won't say his name, but he is a major sport play-by-play man. And he said, the Fink has spoken. Send me this one word tweet here.
It's bad, man. I cannot believe it. The boos this week or the next week after the bye, when they play Wake Forest at home, are going to be pretty unbelievable. I don't think it's going to be anything like they've seen since Taggart. I don't think the boos were nearly this bad last year, except for maybe when they would announce DJU in the starting lineup. But it's terrible right now. I think they've probably completely lost the fan base at this point. The administration has. This coaching staff has. And they've probably lost a lot of the players, because talking to some of these players, there's a lot of guys who are ready for this experiment. I say experiment, a 6-year can't really be called an experiment. This coaching staff to be done. They are not bought in. They're losing interest, and it kind of feels similar to what happened last year with the coordinators and to Mike Norvell to some extent. But these guys this roster is made up of much more serious and committed football players, in my opinion, than last year's roster was. So to see guys like Earl Little, who is supposed to be and really has been one of the leaders on your team. You see him make that interception in the game. He's running over to the sideline with Edwin Joseph, and everybody saw what happened between Edwin Joseph and Norvell. But he and Edwin are running to the sideline, and you watch, they run. It's kind of hard to see, but they run directly past Norvell with his hands in the air to high five him. They just like run past him, just completely ignore him. And it's like the little things like that that are adding up. That's that's Earl Little. That's one of your leaders. And so you saw the team quit, I think, in that second half of the Stanford game. Obviously, they almost were able to pull it out, but it was a different vibe of effort and buy-in than it had been in the previous 3 losses, in my opinion, and it's not going to get better.
How did FSU lose this game? Just going back to Stanford, I mean, I admit I was asleep for this one. It was a tough weekend for Miami, so I was not going to be staying up late watching college football. But you wake up in the morning, you look at the box score. I see 444 yards for FSU, 0 turnovers. Stanford 293 yards, 1 turnover. Obviously, I think I know the answer is because 13 penalties, which some of them included a delay of game before the first snap. Like, how did you lose this game?
So I was at this game, and the delay of game on the first snap was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. It's like the clock was counting down, and they just weren't leaving the huddle. Like the ball was set, and they had not left the sideline really with Norvell. And the clock's going. It's like, okay, maybe this is a Gus. He wants to have him run out there for the first play. No, they just kind of went out there. Normally, it's like nobody noticed that the game clock had started, the play clock had started. What are we doing? It's year 6. Like, that is unbelievable. I don't think a high school coach would let that happen. And then it's been harped on a lot. Norvell obviously came into FSU being a big special teams guy. We're going to have a strong special teams. You had 4, maybe 5 penalties on special teams. The expected points added on just penalties in this game, the difference was 7.5 points. You lose this game by 7. You effectively lost 7.5 points due to penalties. I'd argue it was higher than that. You see Stanford doink a field goal, but FSU jumped on that play, so they get to move up closer, and they end up scoring on that drive. There were just so many stupid errors. Jumping offside on the hard count in the fourth quarter on 4th and 1. I think that was Daniel Lyons. It was just an unbelievably undisciplined performance. I will give them one credit in discipline. They finally remembered how to tackle, which is kind of funny that in this game, they finally remembered how to tackle, and they just killed themselves with the penalties regardless. But they had 2 missed tackles in this game, and they've been plagued with tackling issues. Yeah, 4 penalties on special teams. 3 of them, I think, were in the first half. It was just and you look at the box score, FSU dominated this game on paper if you just like ignore the little penalty section, total yardage, no turnovers. They won the turnover battle by getting that pick from Earl. They really didn't let Stanford have much success on offense outside of a few busted coverages. And this isn't even with I haven't even mentioned all of the injuries that Stanford faced throughout this game. I posted a quote on one of the touchdowns. I think it was the 97-yard drive by their redshirt freshman backup quarterback to score. But they punch it in on the goal line, and right before the play, the commentator goes, backup quarterback, backup running back, backup right guard. Can they punch it in? And guess what happens? They hand it to the backup running back, and who does he run behind to punch it in? The backup right guard. It's just it cannot. You're missing like 3. They're missing like 3 guys on defense. Their team is just dropping like flies throughout this game, and somehow FSU is getting progressively worse throughout the game. It does not. I want to say it doesn't make sense looking at the box score, but if you watch this game, they were just so unprepared, so undisciplined, and a lot of them seemed like they didn't really care, to be honest.
I guess, D, go ahead. You asked the next question.
No, go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say, where does it go from here, essentially? Like, how much worse can it get? You talk about the disrespect of some of the players towards Norvell, and I understand they're committed to him through the season, right? Which you still have a lot of football to be played. Yeah. But I almost wonder if it's one of those situations where it could get even uglier. I'm talking about like guys leaving the team, guys that are considered big parts of the team, that sort of thing. Like, that's what I'm wondering. Is it that sort of toxicity level right now in Tallahassee?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't get to watch practices anymore, but I would imagine we're probably getting pretty close to what it looked like in practice last year, and that was a complete lack of interest in anything that the coaches were saying to most of these players. There's always some exceptions, but yeah, I think it's definitely going to get worse, and I think making this public statement of support towards Norvell, the fan base is going to turn. I mean, the fan base had already turned, but there were still some, loyal fans. I think a lot of fans were hoping FSU lost this game on Saturday for the belief that it would be the nail in the coffin for Norvell. And
yeah, Jeff
I think he did. I think
what you said earlier, it seems like Alford just fired himself.
I mean, it's just, he's really done a great job at FSU. I think he made a slam dunk hire in basketball. I think the baseball coaching hire was good. Women's soccer has been good.
Baseball hire was great.
Yeah. And kind of ballsy, like they were coming off a winning season from the son of the winningest coach ever. And they fired him and they make this move and they bring in Link. And that was a really impressive move. It's really just been the contract extension up to this point that's looked bad on his resume, but this is about as bad as it gets. And I don't know. I think it's going to get so much worse.
DeSantis talking on Twitter.
I saw that. That was hilarious.
I guess DeSantis, I felt like he's like a Florida sports. Like he always supports all the teams, but it seems like he's more on the FSU side, I guess.
So
he's taking shots here at the Gators for speculating they might want Nick Saban if he comes out of retirement. But anyways, yeah, I guess my thing I want to ask you about, Fink, and there was a comment here that I thought was interesting. I made the flight last year to go to Cal when the Hurricanes played, and Cal was actually better in retrospect than we thought. They had more NFL players. Mendoza looks like it might be the first pick of the draft. They had a bunch of defensive backs that got drafted high, good linebackers. So they're actually more talented maybe than they got credit for. Their tight ends who hurt Miami that day is now in Texas. But I think the flight had a big difference. Made a big difference. Just watching the team, being around it, doing the flight myself, and kind of wondering how this would affect a game. You made the flight. First of all, 220 Greenwich thing. You were loving the Stanford smart Asian hotties out there. But beyond that, getting out there, making that flight, it seems like that cross country ACC thing, and quite frankly, the cross country Big Ten thing, is real both directions from what I've seen. What do you think on that?
Absolutely. It's weird, man. How do you schedule your game day when you're playing on 10:30 p.m. as your body knows? Do you give the guys time to get a nap in before? Like, I don't know. Is that going to make them lose focus? It's just a weird situation to navigate. And for the most part, most coaches have never had to navigate this situation. Like, when has this ever presented itself in college sports that you're having to play at 10:30 p.m. according to your body? So I absolutely think that was a factor. I think that would explain a lot of the stupid penalties, because I'll tell you what doesn't explain them is the crowd. And I've gotten a little bit of pushback from Stanford fans. It was like a fever dream in that stadium. I don't know. It was the most bizarre thing. It was so quiet. There was one point on the first drive, I was standing in the concourse watching the end of the Kentucky game on my phone, and I tweeted, it genuinely sounded like my phone playing on full volume was louder than the crowd. And they just really did not make much of an impact. And yet you still have all these stupid delay of game, false starts, jumping off sides. I think that probably can be kind of attributed to the late game and the travel.
You say USC go to Notre Dame, but actually they played well, but losing that game ultimately, whereas doing very, very well at home. Just you see the trend kind of going all different directions. Of course, Penn State traveling to UCLA, which at the time was the shock of the season. Forget it now because Penn State's playing so bad and UCLA's playing better. But that was also one of those cross-country trips. So about almost 1,400 on. Like and subscribe to Group Chat Sports. So again, this is Group Chat Sports. Go to our YouTube. This is college football from all angles, coaching, portal, recruits, big, small. You want to keep up with what's going on in college football and not just the stuff you see on the main page of ESPN. Check out Group Chat Sports, like and subscribe. So before we get off FSU, prediction for how this thing plays out.
Well, I guess we have to take Michael Alford's word. You just lost to Stanford, and Stanford is one of the worst Power 4 teams in the country. They have been over the last few years. And is there a worse potential loss on the schedule? Like, Wake isn't as bad as Stanford. So if you didn't, I guess maybe if James Franklin, no matter what.
There you go. I'm with you.
That's who I need. You got to stabilize the program, or else you're in danger of becoming Nebraska. So I think he probably makes it through the rest of the season. Maybe they win another one or two. I guess I haven't really thought about it, but like, you've got Clemson, you've got Florida, you've got a trap game on a Friday night it's not even a trap game anymore because NC State's better than you, but Friday night at NC State, where they always struggle. Wake, I'm forgetting one, but yeah, I just don't really know. I'm sure they'll probably get one more, but I also said that at certain points in last year's season, they'll beat North Carolina, and they could go 3-9, and that's going to be entirely on Norvell's resume. He's going to have a 2-10 and 3-9 season following a 10-3 and 13-0 season if they keep him throughout the year, and it certainly seems like they will. I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's just only going to get worse, and I think you honestly might have. I do see the transfer point, but I think you might have put yourself at risk of just things getting so much more toxic that some of these kids are like, man, I don't care who they hire. I just got to get out of here. That was such a terrible experience. Norvell being there the entire year, there was no change made, nothing to like inject juice back into the program mid-season. You see coaches get fired. That's like a motivating factor. Like UCLA, we're talking about it now. They've won 3 straight. They fire their coach and they bring in these new guys, and obviously they were there already, but they promote these new guys, and it's a new voice that you're hearing. And I just worry about some of these guys who maybe would be a little bit more encouraged if Gus or whoever, Odell Higgins, takes over midseason and can bring back some energy, and maybe they'd be more interested in returning. I wonder if the message just kind of gets lost throughout the season more than it already has, and these guys are like, get me out of Tallahassee. It's worrying for sure.
It's as a Miami person, my biggest fear for FSU would be hiring a Franklin. I think it makes the most sense. Like you said, they need to stabilize the program, kind of like Miami with Rick when they got him. Although I think Franklin has more upside because of his age and health. But man, his ability to identify players, the way he got Penn State loaded up for the draft, the way he was able to win the games he's supposed to, all things FSU really needs. Plus, because he's getting buyout money, I wonder if that could be financially arranged in a way that's more favorable to FSU. From what you're hearing from FSU people, is that a realistic thing, or is that just fan kind of talk?
I mean, honestly, I don't even think they've had any talks about who they want to hire. Like, we were talking about how it seems like Florida had their sights set on Lane Kiffin far before making the move to fire Billy. I wonder if FSU's even had any conversations, because clearly they haven't had much conversations about actually making a move to fire Norvell. So I guess I really don't know if it's realistic. I hope it is. I do think probably the buyout makes it more realistic, because that has to be a priority, especially after today's move, which is probably money based to some extent. So they're gonna care about the buyout and the lack thereof in James Franklin's case.
Well, from a coach who we think is going to ultimately be fired, but is surviving to a